On Talk of the Nation tonight, we are talking politics with the ruling National Resistance Movement holding its delegates conference where members of the Central Executive Committee, a top policy-making organ of the party, were elected. Now, leaders of other leagues, that's the Women's League, among others, were also elected. However, Youth League elections were cancelled after reports of voter bribery and other irregularities. Now, senior party members also decried voter bribery and irregularities, saying that if not checked, the party is headed for trouble. I am now joined by Charity Ahimbisibwe, an election observer, to break down some of these issues. Good evening to you, Charity, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening to all our viewers, and I'm glad to be here.
Now, first things first, all reports were pointing to voter bribery among other irregularities in the recent NRM SEC elections at Kololo. So what is your take on these accusations, given that it was an election to choose top organs of the party?
Now, voter bribery, first and foremost, is a crime in Uganda's laws. The constitution criminalizes it, but the penal code does provide for the penalty, which is imprisonment. So we should have no space for voter bribery whatsoever in Uganda's electoral processes. The NRM is a big political party with big influence. Most of the members of NRM form the government of Uganda that we have. Therefore, it means that if bribery is used to influence the voter does not decide on that vote on their own. It is the money that is speaking. They do not consider the ideals, the values, the principles that the person is espousing for that position. They consider money. You've given me money, I vote this person. Very wrong. It is illegal. It is ill. We are killing our society. It's not just going to affect NRM, but it's going to affect Uganda as a whole. Bribery and corruption are cousins, or they are bedfellows. They breathe the same air. So we cannot be seen as a country to condone bribery. We must condemn bribery because it is illegal, it is criminal. And so I expect the NRM to bring the people who got involved in bribery to book. Okay. You see, bribery is two-way. There is you who solicits, you are a criminal. And there is you who gives, you are a criminal as well. So two of you are criminals, you who solicits and you who gives.
So I would like to know, to what extent does, because now that points to, you know, the credibility, and to what extent does credibility of internal party elections determine the quality of national elections at large as we conclude this conversation?
Okay, so the credibility of the party election does affect the national election because the people that are elected in the parties end up in the national election. Now, because they are going to import the bribery, they're going to import the massive rigging, they're going to import all the bad manners that you saw in the NRM election will be imported into the national election, and that affects the principles that govern good electoral processes. Good electoral processes are governed, they're supposed to be free, fair, credible. And then Article 61 of the 1995 Constitution.
Finally, the issue of the youth elections that were cancelled, also still pointing to the same. What do you think needs to be done to see to it that some of these issues do not again, transpire in the coming elections? But also, how does this affect a youth that is looking to participate in, future politics?
You see, first and foremost, the youth have already been tainted with the question of money. They think that to be in an election, you need money to buy off a voter. That impression needs to be cleared very fast off the youth head. So before we go into the next elections, the NRM needs to lay down what went wrong in the Youth League election, what are they rectifying, and what went wrong in the entrepreneurship election, because they also have the entrepreneurship league elections that were cancelled for saying delegates were shipped somewhere and paid money and they were skewed. So for that reason, NRM needs to come clear and say, for this reason, we cancelled the election and these are the steps we've taken to rectify the issues that we identified. But ahead of 2026, let no Ugandan be fooled. Forget all about bribery.
All right. Thank you so much, Charity Ahimbisibwe, an election observer, helping us to break down what some of the results that we have seen in the different elections and voting processes in the country.